So lately I've been playing with this mod for Skyrim called Beyond Skyrim, Bruma. Normally I play my Elder Scrolls titles vanilla, but for whatever reason I decided to take a look at this. So I got the mod, and I was exploring the city. It's pretty cool. You know, you cross the border of Skyrim into Bruma, and it seems to be pretty faithfully recreated. It does seem very similar. And I've been doing some of the quests here, and I wanted to talk about one of those quests. You find this child, Alina Ironheart, roaming the streets, and she asks if you've seen her father. And of course we ask for more information, and she talks about how her mother works at the tavern and her grandfather lives across from the Mages Guild. And so we head over there to investigate this matter, first to her mother to see if she has any details on the disappearance of the husband. Apparently he is a member of the Legion, at least as far as the child understands. And apparently this guy is just gone. He's been missing for quite some time, and the wife, Licinia, has been sending letters to the fort at Pale Pass. But she hasn't received anything back, and none of the soldiers that she's talked to that have come through Bruma from the pass have seen him either. So of course she would like us to investigate the matter and see if we can find anything out. Really, she doesn't so much ask that we look into it as we offer to help. And so of course after that we head up to Fort Pale Pass in order to see if we can find anything else about this missing man. And initially the soldiers don't provide a lot of information. They say he was tough and loyal, but they have no idea what could have happened to him. At some point we talk to a certain soldier, and he says that he has a theory. One of their own came staggering in with severe wounds at some point, and apparently he was gasping for air, but he believes he was saying Stormcloaks. And he wonders if Stormcloaks were responsible for this, how did they get across the border? Because it's pretty well guarded, and in this area it seems like there's only one way through, and that's a Legion crosspoint. But he does mention that there's an old cave nearby, which is often filled with bandits, and some speculate that maybe it comes out in the province of Skyrim, and that it's an old wives' tale, but it might be worth checking out anyway. So it's on to Serpent's Trail in order to investigate this cave. Now Serpent's Trail is right along the pass to Bruma from Fort Pale Pass. I mean, a stone's throw away, so you would think that they would go and clear this place out if it truly is as full of bandits as they say. So shortly after arriving, there's a dead-end path to the left, and it features the corpse there of Haran Ironheart, and on him he has a journal and a few other trinkets. So upon investigation of this journal, and this is where things get interesting, basically he suggests that half of their legion has been ordered north of Bruma to the Pale Pass to reinforce the border with Skyrim, because there have been pockets of resistance throughout the province regarding the ban on Talos worship. Initially in his journal, he talks about how he has no love for the Thalmor, but orders are orders, so he will be heading up there. He says goodbye to his family, or at least he writes about that, and continues on to his assigned station. Further in the journal, he talks about how it's been 2 weeks without incident, but news has traveled in from Skyrim on a caravan full of Khajiit, and apparently a group of Talos worshippers have declared themselves rebels against Skyrim's High King. And they call themselves the Stormcloaks, and of course led by Jarl Ulfric Stormcloak of Windhelm. And once they've received that news, he states that the Thalmor have further locked down the border. No one is allowed in or out of Pale Pass, except for the Legion supply lines. Interestingly, he also mentions the Thalmor's prisoners, and that those are allowed to pass through the border. And he mentions that he saw a cart of chained Stormcloak prisoners pass through the border, and he starts to talk about how maybe they don't understand the pain that they're causing or the wounds that they're reopening with the Great War and all of that. And he talks about how he loves Talos as much as the next Nord, but his death is a small price to pay for peace. Then sometime later there's an entry that talks about how they were on patrol and then they found them. Them being 5 men in blue garb of the Stormcloaks hanging from an old pine tree. Apparently, he recognized them from the prisoner transport, but he was told they would face trial in the Imperial City, so this was rather shocking to him. So him and his patrol cut down the group of men. At that point, they gave them a proper burial, but this is the turning point in this guy's ideology. At this point, he concludes that the Thalmor are not peacekeepers, and they do not have the best interest at heart. They are an occupying force. Now, on the way back, they cross paths with the Thalmor. He notes that they were transporting 2 additional prisoners, presumably of course to hang and not to see trial. They were trying not to betray that they had found the corpses, but somehow the Thalmor knew. Once his detachment passed the Thalmor, they attacked from behind, shoving the prisoners off the road. After the scuffle, they only lost one man, but they managed to take out the Thalmor. He mentions that 2 of his comrades went back to the fort, but he presumes they met the same fate as the Stormcloaks, as he did not return. He suspected, probably correctly, that the Thalmor had more power over the Empire and therefore would have disposed of him as well. So they hung out with the Stormcloaks in the cave, called Serpent's Trail, with the goal of going back to Skyrim with the other Nords. So here he's literally swapped sides, and now he's working with the Stormcloaks, and he's stationed at the mouth of Serpent's Trail. They chose him for this role because of his familiarity with the area. And while he regrets not being able to see or even tell his family, he says that some Stormcloak spies have alerted him to their well-being. At this point, he's concluded that the only safe place for his family is the province of Skyrim, a free province, under Jarl Ulfric Stormcloak. So this is a complete 180 for this character, based on what he's experienced with the Thalmor. I think this is great because it just gives another angle on the civil war between the Legion and the Stormcloaks. And I don't think he's wrong. You know, he goes back and talks about how the agreement that the Imperial Legion and the Thalmor came to really was just a postponement of the death of the Empire. It's just a matter of time until the Thalmor take over. There's not much more to it. You can clear out this cave full of bandits, but further, you can take the journal back into town and you can take it to one of the 3 family members. And you have the option to lie and say he didn't join the Stormcloaks, that he was just killed in duty, or you have the ability to tell them the truth. And the grandfather does not want to tell the wife the truth, but you can persuade him to tell her the truth. Though it's true she won't have a full understanding without reading the journal. So once we persuade the grandfather, we do take the journal to her. She doesn't fully seem to understand. And one of our dialogue choices is the Stormcloaks stand for the freedom of Skyrim. He was a true Nord. And then according to her, after reading the journal, she says that she can see that he believed it. She feels like he didn't have consideration for his family, but in reality he didn't have a choice. He was effectively run off by the Thalmor and feared death or other kinds of persecution if he were to return to the fort. So it kind of makes sense that he did what he did. And if you read the journal, obviously he intended to bring his family over to Skyrim if and when that became possible. Unfortunately, it did not become possible, but... So it's kind of a sad story, but I think it does put some more color on the Civil War. So I think this is a great little quest, a nice addition to Skyrim, and I think it really makes you think about the Thalmor and as to whether or not Jarl Ulfric Stormcloak is justified or not. And, you know, I would say he is justified in general. I know that's not a popular opinion. A lot of people seem to think that the Legion is the way to go, but I really think that the Nords are onto something with their rebellion, especially in light of it. You know, it'd be one thing if they hadn't outlawed Talos and they weren't bringing the Thalmor into the situation, but he's correct. You know, the Thalmor are eventually going to cause a lot of trouble for the Empire going down this road trying to placate them. But yeah, that's the quest Upon My Honor from Beyond Skyrim Bruma. So feel free to check it out if you get a moment. There's plenty of other interesting quests going on here in the city of Bruma. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and comment. If you feel differently about the result of this quest or the content of the quest or the Stormcloaks in the Civil War, feel free to comment below. And of course, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel, and I may do a few more videos of this sort pertaining to the Beyond Skyrim Bruma. Thanks for watching.